Twitter is making some massive changes to the way their API works, and a lot of developers are not happy about it. I'm going to talk about a couple of the reasons why they're not happy about it, as well as a tool that we can use. I've been using myself for the past couple weeks that allows you to scrape Twitter data without using the API and get around some of the limitations that are being imposed by this new pricing structure. So one of the big problems that people have is that the pricing model. They're saying it's super expensive and it's super unattainable, and it's going to pretty much put any software that's using the Twitter API out of business. Right now, we can look at this chart and we can see the total requests per month and the month-to-month price for that certain plan. So there are different paid plans under the API usage, and that starts from 500 requests per month up to 10,000. And then there's also an enterprise level, which you have to speak to customer support in order to get pricing for. We can see that this starts at $150, $149 per month and goes all the way up to $2,500 per month. You can expect any type of large app or large web app is going to be using quite a few API requests if they have any type of user base. So they are going to be getting into that 1,300 range, as well as in that 2,500 range, and maybe even into the enterprise range. So this is going to be a large cost that was largely unexpected for a lot of these businesses, and so I think they're reasonably unhappy. There are also other accounts like Pepito the Cat. There is a account on Twitter called Pepito the Cat, where the owner has automated a system so that when the cat returns home, a picture is posted and it says that Pepito the Cat has returned home. Elon Musk was tagged in this and asked what he would do to accounts like this, because this account, it uses the Twitter API, but it's not making any money from it. So Elon has responded with this tweet. He said, responding to feedback, Twitter will enable a light write-only API for bots providing good content that is free. Now, I don't know exactly how he's going to determine what content is good, but it is great to hear that he's going to be providing a light write-only access version of the API that is going to be free. I'd like to see if he does this with read-only access in the future, so that researchers and institutions can have access to data, but only time will tell in that aspect. So let's get into the exciting things. The tool that I'm going to be talking about today is a tool called Twint. Now, Twint basically is a Python package that allows you to scrape tweets and get information about Twitter without going through the Twitter API. It also allows you to get around some of the limitations that the Twitter API has. So when you're using the Twitter API, if you want to look for tweets related to a certain keyword, you're only able to get the last 3,200 tweets, or the tweets within the last 7 days, I believe. So using Twint, you're able to get around these limitations, and you're able to pull as many tweets as you want, pretty much all the way back until the end of time, until the start of Twitter. So I've provided the documentation here. You can go to github.com/twintproject/twint, and you can read a little bit more about the project, but I am going to show you guys how to get started right now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up a terminal window. If you don't know how to do that, you can go up here into the top right corner of your screen on a Mac. You can press the little spotlight button. That's going to pop up a spotlight search. You can just search for terminal and press enter. It will launch a terminal window. It might look a little bit different than this. I have a little bit of styling going on, but it should look more or less the same. The first thing you're going to have to do is install Twint. If you've never used Twint before, this package on Python, you're going to have to install it. And I am doing this tutorial assuming that you have Python already installed on your machine. If you don't, you can check documentation online or just go to Python's website and download a copy from there. Use the wizard to install it and get it on your machine, and then come back to this tutorial and keep following the steps. The first thing you're going to want to do is just type in pip, so that's package installer for Python, pip install Twint. Now, if you have any issues with this command after you press enter, you may want to go back and put in pip3. That might have to do if you're using Python 3. However, I would just stick with the regular pip install, and if you have any issues, try the pip3. I'm going to press enter, and it is going to say that the requirements are already satisfied. That is because I have already downloaded this package, and so I don't need to download the package again. It's already installed on my system and I can use it. The next thing I'll show you is how to just use Twint in the terminal. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just type in Twint, and then you can do a couple different commands. The first command I'll show you is just a -s, and that means that you're going to be searching. So you're using the search object within Twint. We can search for any keyword we want. So if we want to search for pizza, we can type that in here and just press enter. It's going to take a minute, so I'll get back once it loads. It'll probably be, here it is. I thought it'd be a bit longer than that, but you can see the pizza tweets are starting to roll in. If you look closely, you can see the times are very similar. So this really is every tweet sorted by time that it was tweeted about that certain keyword. So in this case, about pizza. I am going to end this terminal just because I don't want to continue running this query or this program. So I'm going to close that out and I'm going to terminate it, but I am going to open up a new shell and I am just going to open up with Homebrew. And that's just the styling option that I choose. You don't have to do the same, but I'd like to show you another command. So before we did Twint and we did -s, you can also do Twint -u, and -u is going to allow you to look at a specific user's tweets. So if we wanted to look at my tweets, we could type in Twint -u, it's Tyler Germain, and that's just going to pull up the tweets that I've tweeted on my profile. It's also going to show up with retweets, but it's not, or replies, but it won't show your retweets. So that's just a couple interesting things that you can do in the terminal. I'm going to move into VS Code now for the actual Twint setup. We open up a VS Code window and we are going to start a new file. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click New File, and we are going to select a language, which will be Python. And the first thing we're going to need to do is we need to import Twint. So when we installed Twint on our machine using the terminal, that was putting the packages into our computer so that we can read them from the programs that we write. And when we write programs, we need to tell them to fetch that data from our computer so that they can so that our program can understand it and use it. So here we are importing Twint, and then we need to configure the Twint object. So this is where, here I'll add a quick note to configure the Twint object, and we'll just call the Twint object T. That's what we're going to be using to set parameters for this Twint object and also run the search on this Twint object. So we'll set T equal to twint.config. So that's just going to set up the object as a Twint object. And then we can start passing it parameters. So one of the cool parameters we can pass is search. This is going to be very similar to what I showed you before in the terminal. However, the syntax is just going to be slightly different. So we do t.search, and let's just say we wanted to get pizza. All we're going to have to do is do twint.run.search, and then we're going to pass it that object that we created. So we should be able to go up here, click run without debugging, and that should run the code, and we should see the output in the terminal down here. Oh, I am going to have to create a file name for this before I run it. So let's just call this twint_test, and I'm going to save that right here. We will wait a moment for this to run. Looks like we have an error. It looks like, all right, we got that figured out. So this C actually just had to be capitalized. It was just a slight error there, and just something to look forward to and note when you're coding in the future. So now we should be able to just click this run without debugging, and it should run okay now. Yep, there we go. So now we're getting every tweet about pizza. I am just going to stop this so that we stop getting tweets about pizza. And let's just say that maybe we wanted to limit the amount that we were going to have. Maybe say we only wanted to get 5 tweets. We can just click t.limit equals 5, and we'll run that again, and you'll see that we'll only get 5 tweets. And there we go. We only got 5 tweets printed out to the console, which is pretty cool. So you can set the number of tweets you want to get. You could set it to 10. You could set it to 20, whatever you would like. And we'll keep that on. We will also do a T dot. Let's say we wanted to look at the popular ones. The minimum number of likes is 5, and the minimum number of retweets is 3. Well, you can do that, and we'll just run it. And while we're waiting, we will see in a few moments the 20 most recent tweets about pizza that have a minimum of 5 likes and a minimum retweets of 3. So those are just some fun things that you can do with Twint. You can also save this to a Pandas data frame or a JSON file if you'd like. Really anything you'd like. Twint's a super powerful tool, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have in the comments. So feel free to reach out.